You learned it young, maybe 5, maybe 7, too early to have language for it. Someone you loved was warm to you one evening, really warm. They laughed at something you said, they pulled you close, and for a few hours, you let yourself believe the house was safe. Then something shifted. A door closed too hard. A voice changed pitch. The warmth from 2 hours ago became someone else entirely, and you were standing in the kitchen in your socks, trying to figure out what you did wrong. You didn't have a word for it then. You just learned the lesson. Warmth is not a promise. It is a setup. And the softer you let yourself become, the more it's going to hurt when the temperature drops. If that felt familiar, not as a memory, but as something your body still carries, stay with me. This one may explain something you've been misreading about yourself for a very long time. Because here's what probably happened next. You grew up. You became someone people describe in very specific ways. Reserved, independent, hard to read, maybe even cold. And the thing is, you never corrected them. Part of you even preferred it, because cold is manageable. Cold doesn't get blindsided at dinner. Cold doesn't hand someone the knife and then act surprised when they use it. But here's what they never saw. What no one sees unless you let them close enough, which you almost never do. You are not cold. You are a person who learned, very early, that warmth comes with conditions. That closeness is a variable, not a constant. That the safest distance between you and another person is just far enough that their mood can't reach your chest. That is not emotional absence. That is one of the most sophisticated survival strategies a child's nervous system can build. And here's the part most people miss, including you. There is something happening inside your brain right now, as you listen to this, that explains everything, and it has a name. Deep inside your temporal lobe, there's a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's smoke detector. Its only job is to scan the environment and decide, hundreds of times a day, whether something is safe or dangerous. It doesn't think, it doesn't reason. It reacts. Faster than language, faster than logic, faster than you can consciously register what's happening. In most people, the amygdala fires when there's an obvious threat, a loud noise, a sudden movement, a stranger in a dark hallway. But in people like you, people who grew up in environments where warmth was unpredictable, the amygdala learned to flag something else entirely. It learned to flag kindness, closeness, vulnerability, the sound of someone's voice going soft. Because in your early world, those signals didn't mean safety. They meant the calm before something changed. And here's what makes this so hard to see from the outside. While your amygdala is firing these quiet alarms, another part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part right behind your forehead, is working overtime to manage the response. It's the part responsible for emotional regulation, for keeping your voice steady when your chest is tight, for choosing the measured response instead of the honest one. It's the part that lets you sit across from someone at dinner and appear perfectly fine while something inside you is bracing for impact. This is not coldness. This is your prefrontal cortex doing exactly what it was trained to do, suppressing the signal from the amygdala so you can function, so you can seem okay, so no one sees the turbulence underneath. Researchers at Stanford Social Neuroscience Lab have studied this exact pattern. What they found is that people who appear emotionally flat or detached often show equal or greater activation in the limbic system, the brain's emotional core, than people who express their feelings openly. The difference isn't in how much they feel. It's in how much energy their brain spends keeping those feelings from reaching the surface. Let that sit for a second. You are not feeling less. You may, in fact, be feeling more, and spending an enormous amount of cognitive resources making sure no one notices. That's why you're tired in ways that don't make sense. Why a simple social gathering can leave you drained for a full day. Why you sometimes cancel plans not because you don't care, but because your nervous system has been running a background process all week, scanning, regulating, containing, and it simply ran out of power. Your limbic system still feels everything, every shift in someone's tone, every micro-expression that crosses a face before the polite mask returns, every silence that lasts half a second too long. You catch all of it. You always have. But instead of letting those feelings move through you, your brain routes them through a checkpoint. It asks, is this safe to feel right now? Is this person safe to feel this around? And if the answer is uncertain, even slightly uncertain, the feeling gets held, stored, contained behind a wall that looks, from the outside, like indifference. It was never indifference. It was management. Quiet, exhausting, invisible management. And I want to be careful here, because not everyone who recognizes this is responding from the same place. Some of you are carrying this because of childhood, some because of a relationship that taught you the wrong lesson at the wrong time. And some of you were simply born with a nervous system that registers emotional input more intensely than most, not because something broke, but because that's how you arrived. It doesn't matter which door brought you here. What matters is that you understand. The strength it took to build this system was real. The intelligence behind it was real. You taught yourself, without anyone's help, how to regulate an internal world that most people couldn't navigate for a single afternoon. That is not weakness dressed up as composure. That is genuine, hard-earned resilience. But, and this is the honest part, the part I need you to hear even if it's uncomfortable, there's a difference between a shield you carry and a shield you've become. The version that protects you says, I will not pour myself into someone who has shown me, repeatedly, that they cannot hold what I give. That is not coldness. That is clarity. That is a person who knows what their peace costs and refuses to sell it cheaply. But there is another version. The one where someone is standing right in front of you, consistent, patient, not going anywhere, and you still can't let them in, not because they've done something wrong, but because your amygdala doesn't know the difference between this warmth and the warmth that once burned you. It fires the same alarm. Your prefrontal cortex runs the same containment protocol, and you pull back, not out of reason, but out of reflex. So here is the question worth sitting with. Quietly and honestly, are you protecting yourself from people who have earned your caution? Or are you protecting yourself from warmth itself? Because those are two very different things. One is wisdom. The other is a 5-year-old survival strategy still running the operating system of an adult who no longer needs it. And the hardest part, the part no one talks about, is that the old strategy doesn't feel old. It feels like intelligence. It feels like pattern recognition. It feels like you being the smart one, the careful one, the one who sees what others don't. And sometimes it is. But sometimes it is that same child standing in a kitchen in their socks, still flinching from a warmth that hasn't threatened you in 20 years. So here's what I want to leave you with, and I don't say this lightly. The challenge in front of you is not to tear down the walls. It is not to force yourself into vulnerability, or to override every instinct your body has built. That's just a different kind of violence against yourself. The real challenge, the quiet, brave, unglamorous one, is to begin teaching your nervous system something it never had the chance to learn, that it is safe now. That warmth can exist without a trapdoor underneath it. That someone can be gentle with you today and still be gentle with you tomorrow. Not by believing it all at once, not by trusting blindly, but by noticing. The next time someone is kind and your chest tightens, and instead of pulling away, just pausing. Just staying in the moment one breath longer than your body wants to. You don't have to dismantle the whole system, you just have to let it rest. Gently, a little at a time, the way you would ease weight off a muscle that has been clenched for so long it forgot it was clenching. You are not cold. You were never cold. You were a child who needed warmth to be safe, and it wasn't. So you built something, quietly, brilliantly, without anyone teaching you how, that made sure you would never be that unprotected again. It kept you alive. It kept you standing in rooms where other people would have folded. It earned you a reputation for strength, even though no one ever asked what that strength cost you to carry. But you are not in that kitchen anymore. You are not 5. And the warmth that is available to you now does not have to follow the same script as the warmth that once burned you. You are allowed to find out what it feels like when your smoke detector finally learns to stand down. Not because the world became perfectly safe, it didn't. But because you became strong enough to handle the moments when it isn't. That is not weakness. That is the kind of courage most people will never even attempt. If this made you feel seen, really seen, not just understood on the surface, leave a comment. For the person scrolling through at 2 in the morning, looking for proof that someone else carries this too. Your words might be the thing that tells them they're not as alone in this as they thought.